Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. May all be happy. May no one suffer. May all see only goodness in others. Let there be no suffering. This is the ancient prayer. This morning, the subject of my talk is Swami Vivekananda, my spiritual hero. I've been in this country for 46 years. There was another Swami who was older than me by only 8 months. His name was Swami Prabodhananda. He used to be in charge of that Vedanta center which we have in San Francisco. I felt very close to him. He was senior to me in monastic life, but I used to talk to him over the phone frequently. And at his request, I visited the San Francisco Vedanta Center many times. Actually, every year I used to visit that. When he passed away, I felt a great sense of loss. It's like losing one very, very close friends. And then I had to be during the memorial service in San Francisco, memorial service for Swami Prabodhananda after his passing away. During that service, I said that Sri Ramakrishna, the divine incarnation of this age, brought Swami Vivekananda to this country to serve his children. Truly speaking, every person is the child of Sri Ramakrishna. And so he brought Swami Vivekananda. And we followed Vivekananda. That's why during the memorial service I said, Swami Vivekananda is our commander-in-chief. We are so many foot soldiers of him. It is a great privilege to die serving others in this country. And Swami Prabodhananda has had that privilege. That's what I said. I said, Swami Vivekananda is our commander-in-chief, our leader. But since my childhood, I've been a great admirer of Swami Vivekananda. I was born by the end of the year 1930. That was quite a few years ago. I was born in the city Shillong, which is a city which is 1 mile high, excellent climate, and beautiful all around, up on the mountains. It was in the Kashi and Jayantiya hills. Now the names have changed, I think. And that was the capital of the province of Assam at that time during British India. The British loved that city. And the Kashi and Jayantiya hills where Shillong was situated, the British would call that the Scotland of the East. I grew up there. I grew up in Shillong. And when I was a little boy, maybe I was 3 or 4 years old, I would see the picture of Swami Vivekananda in our home. A nicely framed picture. That was the time when his picture adored many, many homes. He was highly adored. And I fell in love with that picture. I thought that he was extremely handsome. Then something happened when I was about 6 years old. I had a dream. In the dream, I saw Swami Vivekananda with 1 or 2 other persons coming to our home. They entered our home and went to the inner quarters while I was still at the door. After a while, they were going out of our home. Then I said to Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, will you please give me a pair of your loin cloth? It is a very strange thought. When I grew up, I wondered why I would ask for that gift. Then I realized that that pair of loin cloth was the symbol of monasticism. Maybe in my previous incarnation, I wanted to be a monk. Otherwise, it cannot be explained why I would ask for a pair of loincloth of Swami Vivekananda. These loincloths are used by the monks only. Then something happened. Of course, I remained an admirer of Swami Vivekananda by reading some of his books and also reading the tributes that some other people had given about Swami Vivekananda. There was U Thant. He was originally from Burma, but he was made the Secretary General of the United Nations, first Secretary General of the United Nations. And he said about Swami Vivekananda, he was the first spiritual ambassador of Asia to the West.
It's legible though if they turn up their coat, we'll fix it next.
So U Thant said, Swami Vivekananda was the first spiritual ambassador of Asia to the West.
Everybody sees them upset too. No, I don't know what they see. If you do this, it's even different.
And then the first president of Indonesia, he was Sukarno. He said, Swami Vivekananda is one of those people who have inspired me in my life. He inspired me to be strong. He inspired me to be a servant of God. He inspired me to be a servant of my country. He inspired me to be the servant of the poor. And he inspired me to be the servant of mankind. That's what Sukarno said, first president of Indonesia. And there was one famous poet in India, his name was Rabindranath Tagore. He was the first one in Asia who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. First person in Asia. And so Rabindranath Tagore had a friend in France he was also a Nobel laureate. His name was Romarola. Once Romarola said to Rabindranath Tagore, Tagore, tell me, how can I know India? And Tagore said to Romarola, if you want to know India, read Vivekananda. In him, everything is positive, nothing negative. And also many others gave wonderful tributes. Mahatma Gandhi, who is perhaps known to this world, he was a non-violent leader of India's freedom movement. Mahatma Gandhi. He once visited Belur Math, which is the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Order, which is near Calcutta. He visited and he said, I have come to offer my respects to Swami Vivekananda. I have gone through his works again and again. That means Swami Vivekananda's lectures, again and again. And what love I had for my country, that became thousandfold. That's why Mahatma Gandhi said. I read those things when I was a young man. And my respect for Swami Vivekananda grew more and more. So, now I should tell you something which is personal, a little autobiographical, I should say. There was a Bengali singer. He was famous for his ability to sing folk songs of Bengal. He was appointed as the program executive of All India Radio, which was in Dhaka. But then after the partition of India, he was made the program executive of the All India Radio in Calcutta. That gentleman was very devotional by nature, and he never married. And at that time I was a novitiate monk, a brahmachari, at the center that we have in Shillong. And the centers in Shillong are called ashramas. So in the Shillong ashrama, I was a novitiate monk, a brahmachari. He was called Brahmachari Jyoti. And at that time, that gentleman came to attend one of our celebrations. That was Durga Puja, the worship of the Divine Mother Durga. And the worship lasts for 4 days. And he was a guest of our ashrama for 4 or 5 days. I did not have much to do with him, but he knew my name. Then he was returning to Calcutta. And to go to Calcutta, one had to go by bus from Shillong to a city called Guwahati. That is 63-mile ride. And after going there, one would have to catch the train which would take that person to Calcutta. So the gentleman left our ashrama and he was going back to Calcutta. Then after a few days, he sent a postcard, strangely enough addressed to me, care of the Ramakrishna Mission Ashram or Shillong. And in that postcard, he wrote something very strange. He wrote that while he was going to Guwahati from Shillong by bus, then he looked out the window and he saw Swami Vivekananda going through the sky, and I was immediately behind him, following him. And that postcard was seen by another brother monk. His name was Hemanta Maharaj. He was older than me by 4 or 5 years. At one time we used to be classmates. I studied in school at a very early age. So he knew me quite well. He saw that postcard, read that, and said to me, Jyoti, because that was my pre-monastic name, you are not an ordinary person. You are a follower of Swami Vivekananda. Yes, I have been a follower of Swami Vivekananda. And then, as I was his follower, I became a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, because Sri Ramakrishna was his guru. And let me tell you now a little bit about Swami Vivekananda, because the subject of my talk is Swami Vivekananda, my spiritual hero. Swami Vivekananda was a student in the Scottish Church College in Calcutta. At that time, the principal Hasty gave them a class, the students a class. And they were talking about Samadhi. Samadhi means that spiritual experience one has when one has reached a high standard of spirituality, then one has the experience of divinity. At that time, the outer consciousness of this world goes away, only divine consciousness remains. If you have seen the picture of Sri Ramakrishna, then you will see him in Samadhi. In those days, those cell phone cameras were not there. One had to take a photograph by going to the photographer's office shop. But by that time, Swami Sri Ramakrishna had become quite famous, and quite a few admirers came and assembled around him. And one of them was Narendra. And I told you that Swami Vivekananda had heard from Principal Hasty in his college that there was a state like Samadhi. And the principal at that time said that there is one person who is known to have Samadhi, and he lives around Calcutta. His name is Sri Ramakrishna. Hearing that, Narendra, at that time he was Narendranath Datta, he became curious about Sri Ramakrishna. And a few years later, he got the opportunity to see Sri Ramakrishna. And when Sri Ramakrishna saw him, he could see in and through every person. And he knew the past, present and future of everyone, because he was a divine incarnation. By seeing him, he knew that this Narendra was no ordinary person. He had come to the world to help him to preach the word of God. And And Sri Ramakrishna also knew that he used to be one of the 7 sages mentioned in our scriptures. They are called Saptarshis. So he was a sage in his previous incarnation. So he came to assist Sri Ramakrishna. And Narendra gradually became more and more attracted to Sri Ramakrishna. And one day, Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra, Narendra, please hold my hand. And then Narendra started feeling as though some power was entering into his body. The power was coming from Sri Ramakrishna. After a little while, Sri Ramakrishna said, Narendra, I have given you all my spiritual powers. I don't believe that he gave all his spiritual powers because he was a divine incarnation. Nevertheless, he gave him a lot of power. And then Sri Ramakrishna also wrote on a piece of paper which was discovered after his passing away, on which he wrote in Bengali, Naren Shikkha Dibe, that Naren will teach the world. Of course, that happened some years later. This Narendra was visiting Sri Ramakrishna when Sri Ramakrishna was living in the place called Kashipur near Calcutta in a country house surrounded by garden and everything. And there he requested Sri Ramakrishna whether he would grant him Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that means highest Samadhi, when a person experiences only divinity. And as I was saying, that a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna was taken when he was in Samadhi. That was at the request of Narendranath Datta and a few others. The photographer came, and when in Samadhi, Sri Ramakrishna's head was drooping down, because he would not have body consciousness at that time. Not only that, his heartbeats would stop. That's what happens during Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And then the photographer, to take the picture, had to lift Sri Ramakrishna's head up so that he could take the picture of his face. But when he tried to do that, and he had put his hand under Sri Ramakrishna's chin, and then the entire body came up like it was made of feather. And they startled that photographer. And his camera dropped. And the glass broke a little. Nevertheless, he took a picture of Sri Ramakrishna in Samadhi at that time. That picture is available for all of us. His eyes are open but seeing nothing. A sort of divine smile is on his face. That's what happens when a person is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Narendra asked his Guru Sri Ramakrishna to grant him Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And he had Nirvikalpa Samadhi in Kashipur country house, where Sri Ramakrishna spent his last few days of his life. After that Samadhi, he regained consciousness of the world. He said to Sri Ramakrishna, please grant me this prayer so that I can be in Nirvikalpa Samadhi all the time. Sometimes I would come down, and to retain my body, I would take a little food and water. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, "No, Narendra, you are meant to be a huge tree under which many weary travelers in summer will take shelter. You only think of your own joy? No, that won't happen. That means you have to serve others." After that, he said, "When you will have done the Divine Mother's work," Sri Ramakrishna said, "then you will get back your Nirvikalpa Samadhi." Anyway, after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, Narendra Nath Datta went to different saints, well-known saints of India. One of them was Hari Baba. And Narendra thought that most probably Hari Baba will help him to experience Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But no. When he started going to him, that was in Gazipur in Uttar Pradesh. That's where Hari Baba lived. And Sri Ramakrishna appeared before him with a sad face. That means he did not approve of it. And then Narendranath Datta also discovered that Hari Baba had recognized Narendranath Datta's spirituality, and Hari Baba wanted to get help from Narendranath Datta. So that's how he got rid of that wish. Then he had his Nirvikalpa Samadhi again, as Sri Ramakrishna said, after doing the Divine Mother's work. What was Divine Mother's work? Well, when Narendranath Datta, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, had taken the final vows of sannyasa in a place called Atpur in Bengal with some of his brother monks. And he took the name Satchidananda. Then he started wandering all over India, and seeing his spirituality, some people became attracted to him. And there was the king of Khetri, he became his disciple. And it is believed that it is the king of Khetri who gave this name Vivekananda to Narendranath Datta. His Satchidananda name was dropped and he became Vivekananda. While in South India, Swami Vivekananda had a vision. There he saw Sri Ramakrishna walking on the ocean, the Bay of Bengal, and he was beckoning him to go to the west. By that time, everybody had come to know that the Parliament of Religions would be held in Chicago. It was an unprecedented thing. Parliament of all religions. During the Buddhist period, there were such assemblies only for Buddhists. But this time in Chicago, in the United States of America, they are having a parliament of all religions. And representatives of different religions were invited to attend. Swami Vivekananda was not known at that time, so he was not invited. But he had a wish to go to that parliament. And then one day, while he was in the southernmost tip of India, he went there and sat near the meeting point of Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. And then there is a small island a little away, maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 miles away. And he felt like swimming to that island. He was a young man and quite strong, maybe knew how to swim. So he went there swimming and went to that island and sat there. And then suddenly he was overwhelmed with the feeling that he should do something for the poor people of India. And during British India, many people were poor. And then the thought came that he should go to wealthy America and if he could go to the Parliament of Religions, then perhaps he would be able to meet other people and get some financial help for India. That thought came. But anyway, he came back to the mainland India, and the king of Ramnath in South India, who also had become an admirer of Swami Vivekananda, heard about Swami Vivekananda's wish to go to Chicago to attend the parliament. So he wanted to help him. But in any case, eventually, Swami Vivekananda got the permission of the Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi also to go to the West, after having had that vision of Ramakrishna beckoning him to go to the West. So by ship he went in 1893. Then he went, on the way he went to Colombo and other places, and 1 or 2 places in China, and then to Japan. Then from Yokohama he boarded the ship Empress of India, which took him to Vancouver in Canada. And that was in 1893. From Vancouver he took a train and went to Chicago. And with some initial difficulties, he was accepted a delegate at the parliament. Then on the 11th of September 1893, he gave his historic speech. It was very strange. He stood up and addressed the audience as sisters and brothers of America. Hearing that, there was immediate applause of people, which lasted for 2 or 3 minutes. What was there in those words? When I read that, I used to wonder. Then I understood that it was the power of Sri Ramakrishna, which was transmitted through those words, through Swami Vivekananda. Sisters and brothers of America. Then he gave his speech. He talked about the harmony of religions. He actually became the representative of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings and became very famous as an orator. His style was unique. He did not use complicated words. In those days, most speakers would speak in academic language to show how much they have studied. But Vivekananda was different. He said, I will present the most abstruse religious thoughts of India in a language which will be understood by even children. He did that. And during his stay in America, he became very well known as an orator. And one newspaper wrote about him. He is an orator by divine right. Then a lecture bureau hired him and offered him some money. Swami Vivekananda accepted that because he thought that this money he would use for the poor in India. Then he had to go to different places and give talks. Some days he had to give 3 or 4 talks every day. And then he'd wonder, what would he talk about? As though he had exhausted all his thoughts. Then at night he could hear Sri Ramakrishna telling him how to give the talks. And at that time at one time he was the guest in a particular person's home, and the lady of that house heard Swami Vivekananda talking to some other person in his room. In the morning she asked him, "To whom were you talking last night?" But what answer Swami Vivekananda gave to that lady we do not know. But we can easily guess that it was Sri Ramakrishna who would come to him. Sri Ramakrishna used Swami Vivekananda as his tool to preach in the West. To preach the harmony of all religions. All religions are so many roads which will lead to the same divinity. This idea is there in our Vedas also. In Rig Veda there is a saying, Ekam Sadvipra Bahudha Vadanti. Divine truth is one, but different sages call the same truth by different names. And Swami Vivekananda was in America during his first visit for 3 years. Before he started for India, he was in the Thousand Island Park, and then he felt like sitting under a tree. The Southern Island Park is not too far away from New York, and then when he sat there, he suddenly had Nirvikalpa Samadhi after so many years. So this indicated that he had done the Divine Mother's work, preaching the message of Vedanta in the West. After that he went back to India. And reading about him in the newspapers and other places, most people came to know about Swami Vivekananda's great success as an orator there. And the editor of the Indian Mirror came to him and wanted to know about his experience in America. Then Swami Vivekananda said, people of the West are like children of King Virochana. So in Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story about Virochana. The king of the gods, or Suras, and that means those with divine propensities, and the Asuras, king of the Asuras, Virochana. He was the king of those people who were not that spiritually oriented. He came to Prajapati to know about the indwelling soul. And Prajapati taught them that the indwelling soul was divinity. And they both understood the teaching differently. Indra understood the real meaning, that the indwelling soul is divinity. So people are not their bodies, they are divinity. But Virochana understood that the body was divinity. And he taught his followers that thing, his subjects. Body is God. So Materialism, Western materialism is no other than worship of the body. Here there are so many shops with the sign. Nails and spa. Nails and spa. They take care of the nails, people's nails. And also 24-hour physical exercise, like that. They're all around America. And Swami Vivekananda, during his visit, he talked about all the different yogas, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, and sometimes a little bit about Hatha Yoga. That means that physical discipline which can help a person to have a perfect body. And he is not in favor of that, but still he told a little bit about that. Sri Ramakrishna was not in favor of Hatha Yoga. He used to say that makes a person body-minded and that person cannot experience God. And now that's how the yoga became popular. There are so many Hatha Yoga teachers all over America. Other yogas have been mostly forgotten. But Hatha Yoga, oh, so many followers. That's why Swami Vivekananda rightly said that the people of the West are the children of King Virochana. They think the body is God. Anyway, then after 1893, he came to America. Then in 1896, after the Samadhi experience in the Thousand Island Park, he returned to India. From 1896 to 1899, he was in India. During that period, he started the Ramakrishna Mission and the Ramakrishna Mutt in 1898. And that is known as the Ramakrishna Order. And I belong to that order, luckily. Then in June 1899, he returned to United States via Europe. Then again, after a stay in America for 1.5 years, by that time he had started 2 Vedanta centers at the request of the people in America, one in California in San Antonio Valley called the Shanti Ashrama, and the other one in New York City. These 2 he started. Then he returned to India in December 1900. Then he was in India until 1902. And he served the Indians at that time. He had to give many talks and all. And then on July 4th, 1902, he passed away. He gave up his body in Samadhi in Beluru Math, which is the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Order. Swami Vivekananda passed away before he was 40. And when Sri Ramakrishna saw him as Narendra, he had predicted that he would not live beyond 40. And a divine incarnation's prophecy always is correct. This is Vivekananda. I could have talked about him much longer, but I think I should stop now. I've talked for 45 minutes. Thank you for your patience. May the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda be upon all of us. Thank you.